Close to the Sun was one of the games I was really looking forward to this year. It was on my best of packs list, and it seemed like a really cool combination of Outlast and BioShock. And while there is a lot of cool stuff here, the game is unfortunately held back by some technical issues and a less than stellar story. So, Close to the Sun is a first-person, narrative-driven adventure game with some horror elements thrown in there. And as I said before, it shares a pretty similar style with Outlast, in that it's linear, it's based around escaping a terrible place, and there are several chase scenes. And it's similar to BioShock in, well, I mean, just look at it. Close to the Sun is set in an alternate universe in 1897 where Nikola Tesla has become more famous and powerful than Thomas Edison. The game takes place aboard the Helios, Tesla's giant ship built to house the most brilliant minds in the world. Your character, Rose Archer, receives a letter from her sister who is on board the Helios, calling out for help. When you arrive on the dark, decrepit ship, the atmosphere hits you instantly, and you are really drawn in to discover more. It's pretty clear that things have gone awry as the whole ship is in a quarantine and you can't find any other human, save for the piles of dead bodies lining the halls. As you move through the game though, you will come into contact with several living people through the use of your radio, and they will talk to you and help guide you on your journey. Now, the story starts off really good, and the premise is simple but immediately engaging. These weird visions you start to have only amplify your curiosity as you try to find the answers. The first few hours were really great, but unfortunately after like chapter 3 or 4, the sense of mystery dies down a little and the story starts to get a bit stale with lots of really predictable moments. I don't know if it's because I've played several games like this before or what, but so many story beats and twists I just saw coming from a mile away. And the structure as a whole can feel artificial at times with a bit too much go here, oh wait, something crazy just happened and blocked your path, now you have to find a new way around it. But the biggest problem with the story is that it doesn't explain any of the interesting ideas it brings forward. There are some high concept ideas here, and the game does a really good job setting them up, but a pretty bad job at explaining them because, well, they just never explain it. See, your main objective is to find your sister and escape, but your secondary objective is to figure out the cause of the disaster because it directly relates to finding your sister and getting out. Once you get to a certain part, the objective shifts slightly to find this specific item that will unveil the secrets and explain everything. You eventually find said item, and the game seems to be leading towards a big conclusion that will tie everything together. And then the game just ends, without explaining what exactly just happened or how any of it makes sense. I even think the last line that someone says to you is basically, we did it, we have the info, now we can understand what happened and right our wrongs, and then the game just ends. Like, I understand the basic idea of what they were doing, but that basic idea is so vague. The game spends the last few chapters telling you, this information will be the key, we need to protect it, but then you never actually find out what the information is. I feel like these guys just got in a little over their heads when writing the story and weren't quite able to write themselves out of it. Because it's certainly got the foundation and it's a really cool and complex idea. And despite some of these generic plot points, if they were able to pull off this cool idea, it would have been a really solid story. But unfortunately, it just ends up being a pretty hollow resolution. Now, let's talk voice acting for a bit. Overall, I think everyone did a really good job. There were certainly a few misses and moments that weren't delivered that convincingly, but overall I really liked the performances.
I am...
Shut up, Aubrey, shut up. I just saw a man get gutted by some nutcase with a knife.
But the sound mixing was absolutely terrible for the voices. It really irritated me because one second they'd be talking normal, then they would be a little too quiet, getting drowned out by the music, and then right after that their voices would just skyrocket in volume and literally clip.
Just this time avoiding the bolts of electricity at the same time.
It's not that big of a deal because it's a really simple fix. I mean, someone just has to go back in and rebalance everything, but it's still annoying that it was here in the first place. So yeah, overall, great premise, great concept, great opening, but unfortunately pretty bland execution in the second half of the game, and a pretty disappointing ending. So the main chunk of gameplay in Close to the Sun revolves around exploring the ship, picking up notes and documents, and solving some minor puzzles. It's a very linear game filled with some cool set pieces, so your exploration is mostly tied to finding your way past an obstacle and going into the next area. Now this isn't a bad thing, and I found the puzzles to be simple but good, but I just wanted to give you a better description of what the style is so you guys can understand. There are also a few chase scenes, and there is a general focus on survival, though it's mostly just a narrative focus. Meaning that while there are moments where you need to run and survive, there isn't any like hide and seek constantly on your toes moments. It's more of just the general narrative idea of you need to survive. And these chase sequences that I mentioned are... okay, I'm sorry. Alright, game devs, I'm sorry. I don't like first-person chase scenes. I don't think I've ever played a game where they've been really worthwhile. Okay, that goes for Resident Evil 7, it goes for Outlast, and Close to the Sun as well. They're just kind of annoying, and I never end up feeling like they're that tense or scary. Once you die, it's pretty hard for them to ever be, like, somewhat frightening again, because, like, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna die a second time and have to do it again? Thankfully, in Close to the Sun, there are only a few of them, and they are very brief. They still aren't very good, but they are over with quickly, so it's not that big of an annoyance. The frame rate, however, is a bigger annoyance in these sections, and I think now's a good time to talk about performance. The game is currently on PC only, with plans to come to consoles later in the year, I believe, but as it stands now, on PC the frame rate is a bit inconsistent. There were times where I could run it perfectly with everything on high, but then there were sections where it would just kinda tank and become really bad. Lowering the settings helped, but it's still pretty easy to tell which sections were optimized the best and which ones weren't. Like the chase scenes, for example. Now, this performance stuff isn't a deal breaker by any means, but it definitely should have been optimized a bit better. Overall though, in terms of gameplay, this game delivers pretty good exploration, simple but fun puzzles, and less than exciting chase sequences. Alright, do I even need to say it? I mean, just look at it. I feel like I say that in every review.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Look, I'm sorry, it's a really easy line, and I mean, look at it. The game looks incredible, okay? It's really hard to go wrong with Art Deco style, and this game fully delivers. I mean, the game certainly shows its budget with some of the animations not looking that great, but holy shit, it really punches above its weight in terms of art style and graphical fidelity. And as I said before, the atmosphere is good, and setting the game aboard a massive technologically advanced ship was a great idea. The music did a great job too, and I liked it quite a bit. The ambient pieces worked well with keeping a mood, and the big moments were amplified by great melodies and strings. If I had to find one negative, it would be that I thought some of the music that accompanied the chase scenes was a bit light, and not as heavy or intense as I would have liked. Still, in terms of visuals, this game is a knockout and may be worth giving a look just to see how gorgeous the game is, as long as you can run it on your computer. So this game is a bit of a hard one to fully recommend or not, because I think it's going to mean different things to different people. If you haven't played a whole lot of games like this, the story beats may not be as predictable to you, but if you have, you will likely see a lot of things coming. Still, the bigger story concept will be the same for everyone involved. It's a cool idea, but not explained past the most basic level. But I will say that the game was still an enjoyable experience, and I think it's genuinely great for the first few hours. It's really a shame that the last 2 hours were kind of a letdown in terms of story, but overall, I'd say it's a pretty decent game that's worth giving a deeper look if you're interested, especially since it looks so good and it's only $25. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to see more. I got a bunch of old reviews on my channel, and I got a bunch of new ones coming out soon. There's a link down below to a Twitch. That's my friend's Twitch. Hit him up, give him a follow. I'll be on there playing live with him pretty frequently. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.